Tonight on Not News. How to become Prime Minister and what do you do once you are. Next federal election is scheduled for October 20th, 2025. But it could happen sooner, which means you still have time to run. Please, someone else run, please. All you need is to be appointed by the Governor General. That's it! But traditionally, you need to be the leader of the political party that wins the most seats. So, let's lay out your path to become Prime Minister. The first thing you want to do is become a culturally, socially, and ethically out-of-touch rich old white man. But before you do that, be sure to fill out your nomination form, Form EC20010, and get it into Election Canada at least 21 days before the election. But to get your name on the ballot, you have to register at least 60 days before the issue of election writs, the announcement that there's going to be an election. You can register as an independent, start your own party, or join one of Canada's 16 registered federal parties. That's right, there's 16! We just don't hear about the others because they don't win seats. Your odds of winning are greatly improved if you're running with a party that manages to get that muchly coveted 170 seats in the House of Commons. Historically, that's the Liberals. Occasionally, the Conservatives. And never the NDP, who, let's be honest, haven't had a chance since Mulcair left. Imagine where we'd be with an intelligent, well-balanced law professor as our Prime Minister. And the Greens. Not a chance. Although nowadays you could probably create a meme party called the Rhinoceros Party and win like half the votes. That's a real party, by the way. The next step to becoming Prime Minister is to become the leader of one of these 16 two parties. Political parties choose their leaders internally, meaning members vote on who leads the party through party membership. Membership costs about $15 a year. It's a small price to pay for a heavy burden. Only about 3% of the Canadian population are members of a political party. The Conservatives, which is actually two old parties combined into one, hold about 679,000. The Liberals, 300,000. NDP, 125,000. And the Greens, 22,000. I'm assuming these numbers are self-reporting and we can't actually trust them, but let's work with them. Now, if you're going to maximize your chances of becoming Prime Minister, you want the path of least resistance. Party with the most wins and the least members, meaning you have to convince the smallest amount of people to choose you as their leader. The Liberals! Historically, each member gets one vote, which all carry the same weight, called the one-member, one-vote system. Now they break ridings down into some sort of a point system that's like proportional representation. I think it just kind of makes it easier to add up. Never fully understood proportional representation. So let's just focus on one member, one vote, and extrapolate from that. Traditionally, wannabe party leaders face little internal opposition. The voting is mostly symbolic. Now, let's say, for example's sake, one person is running against you. You need half the votes. You have to win 150,001 votes to be selected as the leader of the Liberal Party. That is the equivalent of 0.004% of the Canadian population, deciding that you should run for Prime Minister. But convincing that 0.004% of Canadians to choose you might not be as easy as you think. You're gonna have to do something you don't want to do. Become one of them. I had a professor once who actually explained this. I'll try to illustrate as well as him. This is the Prime Minister, and this is you. You want to become them. So gradually you make your way through your career, go to parties, meet people, kiss babies, shake hands, go to cocktail parties, you go to mixers, you meet the same people, you have the same conversations, you have the same arguments, you don't always agree, but you're still becoming more and more and more like them. Before you know it, you're wearing a golf shirt, white cargo shorts, knee-high socks, and New Balance shoes. I paid thousands of dollars for this lesson. Conformity! That's the lesson. Your individuality must be eliminated in order to maintain the status quo. Because we love predictability and stability. And the best way to get that is more of the same. So, if you're sitting there going, oh, but the Conservatives this, and the Liberals that, and the ending... No! They're all wearing New Balance. They might disagree on how to mow the lawn, or if charcoal's better than propane, or even if a Prius is more sensible than a Dodge Ram with metallic balls hanging off the back. But they're all showing up to the same barbecue. Now from here, it's time to win the election. How are you going to convince half of Canada to vote for you? You don't have to. Only about 62% of people vote, and that's a high turnout. From there, you just have to convince half those people to vote for you. Actually, your party. That's only 31% of the population. In fact, you don't even have to win your seat. As long as your party wins the most seats, you can still be appointed Prime Minister. They'll just fire someone else who won their riding, do a by-election, and tuck you in there like nothing happened. Hey, sorry, you did a great job, but you're fired. Oh, because I didn't get hired. Thank you for serving your country. And even if your party doesn't win 170 seats, you can just buddy up with the loser and prop your government up by offering them a bunch of empty promises. Called a minority government. We're in one now. Hey, NDP. How's that going for you? So, All you need to become prime minister is to convince 0.004% of the population to convince 31% of the population to vote for your party to make you prime minister. And then you rule over 100% of the population. I mean lead with good, with peace, order, and good governance. Sure, 30% of the population will criticize everything you do, and 30% will be cheering for you. But the real majority of Canadians, the 40% who didn't vote, they don't really care. That's not fair to say. There's lots of reasons people don't and can't vote. Congratulations, you're prime minister. Now what do? Nothing. Well, nothing written. There is no job description or constitutional outline. You're basically Canada's billboard. Job is based on constitutional convention, which is our unwritten constitution. I'm not going to explain that. Basically, you do whatever the last person did. The original concept of the job was to be the first among ministers and advise the crown. It wasn't until recently that prime ministers wielded massive concentrations of power. Brought to you by Pierre Elliott Trudeau and the War Measures Act, which from a Machiavellian standpoint was very admirable. It's a lot of appointing people to positions. You get to be a judge. You get to be a cabinet minister. You get to be a senator. Actually, you don't appoint anybody. You just advise the governor general. Same with passing policies. Here you are, Mr. Governor General. And then they pass. And then they appoint. And they pass laws. Easy, right? Also get to take credit for any government position, department, or office, or any policy passed by your government, the government before you, or maybe even the one before that. But in reverse, if any of those go wrong and start having a negative impact, it's all your fault. So always remember having a scapegoat, Mr. Speaker. And if it all goes sideways, yeah, a majority of Canadians might hate you. But you still got the other 40% that don't care. I know, they care. So if you're part of the majority that do care, and you want to know what's not news in Canada, I'll be right here.